I'd like for you to think of one of those times when you're going to meet someone super important for the very first time. How nervous were you? Do you have that in your mind? I remember, for me, it was the first time I was ever going to meet my future in-laws. Rachel and I had drove from Denver to Phoenix, where my future in-laws were living part-time of the year, and we get there. Rachel walks in and says hi, and I walk in after her, and I knew that they had a dog, and the dog comes bumbling out, and my first thought is, they have a small black bear as a dog. My life is flashing before my eyes. I'm like, I've been set up, I'm going to get murdered. And they had a Newfoundland, and this is what a Newfoundland dog looks like. Now, if you don't know what it is to scale, I've got a picture for that. This thing is a monster, and this monster comes around, and she was so gentle. Her name was Skosh, and she weighed a ton, but she was a good girl. So this weekend was a success, and I guess I paid enough to get into the family because here I am today. And so we're driving back, and the important question comes up. I ask Rachel, what do they think of me? How do they like me? What do they say? And the moment of truth, Rachel says, well, my mom said that you're just like an old shoe. An old shoe. All right. Hey, what does that mean? I don't know. I'm horrified because I'm an old shoe, like that you mow the yard? Am I supposed to be kind of offended? What's going on? She's like, no. It's because you just kind of fit in, like you fit like an old shoe. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. I love my mother-in-law for saying that. And it erased all of the nervousness that I had being around them ever again. Now, we're in a message series called The Weight of Your Table. The weight of your words. Sorry. For the folks worshiping online, I dropped the table as I was placing it, and it was awkward. The weight of your words. The weight of your words. That's our message series. Last week in week 1, Aaron talked about how our negative words can weigh way more than our positive words. And he talked about how we're supposed to use our words to build other people up according to what they need to hear, what they need in their lives. And so if you've ever been crushed by someone's words, or if you've been filled to the top with encouragement, then you know the power that words have in our lives. Words have weight, just like a Newfoundland dog. Words can leave a mark or leave us floating on air. And so for today, we're going to be digging into this topic with this idea that the relationship that you have with others is rarely the relationship that others have with you. Here's what I mean by this. You're in a relationship with a lot of different people, and that's because you have different roles that you play in each other's lives. You have different histories with each other. You have different impressions that you have for one another. But the relationship that you have with others is rarely the same relationship that they have with you. The best example that I can think of this is a relationship between a parent and a child. I'm not talking about cool moms versus not so cool moms. I'm talking about how a parent has a relationship with their child, and the child is 100% dependent on the parent. They aren't colleagues at work. They're not peers. They aren't bruh to each other, no matter how many times your 10-year-old Rosie says it to you, just as a random example. There's an unequal balance of influence and authority and power in this relationship dynamic between a parent and a child. Now, you can see this relationship dynamic in play in other relationships too, like between an older sibling and a younger sibling, or a boss and a not boss. This is why Pastor Andy Stanley says this: words inflate or deflate our confidence with the words spoken to us, or at us, or over us. You probably have lots of examples from your life of someone pumping you up or crushing you with the words that they chose to say to you. But what we often are slow to remember is that the words that we share with others have an impact on them. Our words have the potential to shatter someone's self-esteem or alter the course of their lives in a positive direction forever. See, we have this choice when we follow Jesus. We have the choice to identify as Christ followers, to practice his teachings and to put them into our lives and lean into them. But what we don't have a choice in the matter is if we choose that path, if we choose to follow Jesus, then we willingly forfeit the choice on whether or not we should build other people up and encourage them with our words. It's just part of the deal. It's how we're called to live and to talk and to respond to other people. So we're supposed to choose words and respond to others in a way that they actually benefit from being in a relationship with us. Now, if you're someone who's curious about faith in Jesus, or maybe you've said, I'm out because of all the atrocious examples of Christ followers, then this idea should appeal to you. Because Christ followers, we are called to a higher standard than what the world says should be. Remembering what Aaron was talking about last week, that negative words weigh way more than positive words do. To build upon that, here's this key idea. The source of the words spoken determine the weight of the words. The source determines the weight of the words. Now, speaking of words, when I was in school, one of the things that frustrated me a lot was in math class with word problems. Was anyone else like this, where word problems just boggled you and you're just trying to say, hey, if there are two trains on this track headed toward each other, why does it matter how fast either of them are going? Just like, for God's sake, just pump the brake and tell the train engineers that they're going to crash and kill people. Just, why is this a word problem? I got that wrong on my test. Well, I hate to do this to you, but we're going to look at a concept in a word problem format. But it's going to be memorable. Here it is. The words times the source equal the weight. The source of the word spoken determines the weight of the word. To give you an example, if my wife asks me if I like her outfit, which I always say yes, you always say yes. When she asks me, do you like my outfit? And I say yes, it means so very little in comparison to if her coworkers say that she looks cute. It just doesn't matter how many times she's leaving, and 5 times, 10 times, you look cute, great. But if one of her colleagues says it, she's floating on air. And here's why I'm okay with that. It's part of the job. It's part of my job. When I sign up to be your husband, one of the things that is my job is to say, you look good. Go on out and conquer the world. Her colleagues, they have to go out of their way. They have to volunteer to take this thought that enters their brain to say, hey, you look cute today. So you can see how 5-pound words can become 50-pound words based on the source of who is saying them. You look hot it hits so much differently from me than one of her coworkers, a female coworker. We told Jeffrey to stop saying that to her. I tried to pick a name that I don't know of someone, and I don't know if that worked. It didn't in the sanctuary, by the way. Jeffrey was in the right section. And if anyone's new, named Jeffrey, you are included. I hope. The source of the word determines the weight of the word. The next part of this math equation / word problem is this. The weight determines the impact, which determines the outcome. Here it is in a word math equation form. The weight to the impact power equals the outcome. Math teachers, does that look good? Did I do that right? The weight determines the impact, how it lands, and ultimately that impact determines the outcome. And here's an example of when someone says something to you, but you need to remember that the source shouldn't have the same kind of impact as people who really matter. We've got a video clip to show you that example.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, and I'm a crybaby, and I have a butthole in my chin.
I imagine Patrick Mahomes' barber is a superhero who has to run out and save the world every time he gets halfway through Mahomes' haircut.
This dude, Travis Kelce, looks like the Notre Dame leprechaun.
Joey Bosa's nose is so big, it looks like he's been lying every day for his whole life. It's a good one.
Sony Michel, more like Panasonic Michelle so far.
Why does Jay Ajayi running look like Forrest Gump running when he had the braces on his legs?
Clay Matthews is the type of dude who farts into a bottle of Sunny D, puts it in the fridge, and then consumes it the next morning.
Clay Matthews famously does not like the purple stuff. Sunny D joke? No? Great. Okay, my guess is that those words, they initially probably hurt when those big football players read them. But over time, they faded, and they didn't matter because someone important like their wives or girlfriends weren't the ones who said it. I mean, that would make such a big difference. Or if, God forbid, Taylor Swift writes a revenge song on Travis Kelce. No, please. I believe that Scripture teaches us that we have this unique opportunity, this unique potential to leverage the weight of our words to make other people better. It's an honor that Christ has given to us. It's one of the greatest honors that we can participate in. And that might sound weird that Jesus gives us an honor to live into, but here's what he says. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill which can't be hidden. Now, here's what I mean about this being an honor that Jesus gives us the option to live into. He says that we are the light of the world. Now, it's a different meaning than when Jesus says, I am the light of the world. We're not the same kind of light of the world that Jesus is, but we're still called that. As little Christs, which is what that word Christian means, we are the light of the world, just as Jesus is the light of the world. And he explains how light is supposed to work from Matthew chapter 5. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Here's the thing about being a city on a hill, a light to shine throughout the house, being the light of the world. We don't just represent ourselves. I tell my kids this all the time, that when they're out and about, they're representing their mom and they're representing me. We get to represent Jesus. We get to represent Christ in the world. And this is why we want to use weighty words to build up and to encourage rather than to tear down and destroy. Over the past month or so, we've been plugging a workshop that we're going to be putting on tomorrow night, by the way. It's still time to sign up. You can sign up on the website. Honestly, if you just show up, my guess is it's probably not going to ruin things. I hope our events coordinator is not mad at me now. But tomorrow night, we have a workshop that is being hosted by Red Card. Red Card's an organization that Children's Mercy and Sporting KC have combined to create the world's healthiest soccer team. And nothing? Okay. They've created this organization to help spread awareness about the growing problem of bullying and to give practical ways to address it in the lives of teenagers. And so if you've got a teenager in your life, bring them to this workshop. If you work with teenagers, come and learn. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't have that in my life, share it on Facebook. Tell people about it, because people need to know that this is a growing problem still. Christ followers, we should be known for being anti-bullying. We should be known for talking to that, speaking to it, and stopping it. Not being judgy or critical, not tearing down, not known for trolling on the internet. Okay, so how do we take into consideration these word problems that we've been studying? Well, recently I ran across a book by Dr. Heather Holleman called The 6 Conversations, Pathways to Connecting in an Age of Isolation and Incivility. And in the book, she asks a great question. She wonders, what if we entered every conversation by imagining what would help build this other person up? What a great question to keep in the forefront of our minds. How different would our interactions go if we asked ourselves that question before every conversation that we had? From conversations with our family members to our coworkers to Jeffrey standing in line at the DMV. One of the application points that Dr. Holleman talks about is to remind other people of their good character, of their unique gifts, of their hard work, as a way to offer encouragement to people who need it. I'm always wanting to have a good question in my pocket or something good to say to someone, and she's got some great examples. Things like, I noticed that you're a truly excellent fill in the blank. You seem to have a special gift for blank. I love how you always blank. Thank you for how you fill in the blank. Aren't those great reminders? I mean, when was the last time someone said something like that to you? My guess is that it stuck. In my household, I give near daily reminders to our kids that they need to treat the other person the way that they want to be treated. And sometimes I go into why Jesus teaches us to do that. The other day, I told my kids that Jesus says it this way, so we can expect only good things to come from other people if we give them good things first. And that's when the buts come. That's when but she said this to me. You have to initiate that. You have to say the good things first to receive good things. In other words, if you send garbage out, don't be surprised if you get garbage back. Holleman says that if we can reflect on the following questions before we go into a conversation, that maybe it becomes a habit. Maybe it's something that we just do naturally. And she asks this, will this question, comment, or personal story help or encourage this person? With this question, comment, or personal story, will it help us grow and work toward our goals? Remember, the source determines the weight of your words. And the weight determines the impact, which determines the outcome. We're reminded of how important our words are in an oft-quoted passage from a letter that was written by this guy named Paul, and he wrote to some Christ followers in a community in Greece. Now, when I read this, you're going to think, I've heard this at weddings before, and you probably have, but he didn't write it for weddings. It's a great application for marriage because it talks about words, but it was written to a group, a community of Christ followers that just were not getting along. This is what he says. If I speak in the tongues of humans or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. Love does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Remember who you represent. You are the light of the world, a city on a hill. Build others up. Encourage them. Because the alternative has no place with us. I want to leave you with this prayer, this thought from someone named St. Francis of Assisi. And it's a prayer that our staff has been, in this season, praying daily at our midday prayer time. And here's how it goes. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. May you be someone who uses their words, your weighty words, to sow love and light, hope and joy. Build others up. Amen.